There we go. We got a bunch of people coming in. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever it is, wherever you are, everybody. My name is John Fincher. I am the community coordinator here for Coding Nomads. With me, I've got our founder, illustrious leader, Grand Poobah Ryan. We've got Jared, who is our member coordinator, and we've got our special guest this time, Nikita Baranoff. And Nikita is going to be walking us through a project that he has done. Nikita is one of our mentors. He has a project that he uses and that he wrote to put together a dashboard for all of his students. So he's going to walk us through how he designed this thing, how he put it all together, all of the different parts and pieces and the thought processes and the design things that he went through in order to put this together. So I'm glad you guys are all here. We're going to keep tabs on everybody. I'm going to turn my camera off to not distract everybody, and I'm going to turn it over to Nikita. Nikita, this is all you.
Yeah, hi. Hope you can hear myself. So yeah, as John said, I'm a mentor at Coding Nomads. I joined recently, and I have some experience. And so I've decided that I will try to solve my problems with the knowledge and experience I've got and the tool skill. Wait a second. Sorry for the delay.
No problem.
I will try to solve the problem on my machine, and meanwhile I'll start to talk. So the problem with since I joined, well, I've got assigned to several students, and we start to work. And the problem that I faced is that the current platform that Coding Nomads uses is good for students. Like when you study, you have all the courses, but when you kind of mentor a student, you have to have like an overview of all the students that you assign to track the progress. I'm not sure what's going on. It's not, and the tool doesn't give you this flexibility and ability to actually navigate and see it as a glance. And so I've decided that I can actually solve the problem with the tools that we teaching students what to use. I have no idea what's going on. Wait a second. I might need to reconnect. Because the minute the recording started, I think that's the place where. Okay, hold on. Let me reconnect.
Sure, we'll be here.
I'll be right. Yeah, I'll be right back.
Thank you, Nikita.
All right, finally. So the CN Mentor dashboard. Those are the links to the GitHub where I post. Well, the project is split into two: backend and front end, obviously, and both of them are at least for now, reside in different repos. A little disclaimer, so it's still work in progress. So here and there you can see like commented out code and whatever. And it will change over the several days and weeks automatically. But anyways, so what I try, let me try to, if I'll be able to. So the problem is, I started to already outline it. Let me see if I'll be able to pull it quickly back. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So you should be able to see it. So this is me. This is the Coding Nomads platform for students and mentors. And so the mentor has access to the students' kind of outline of the course. So this is me. I'm obviously registered, and this is one of the courses. So Java programming, one of our the basic courses that we have. So that's how the outline looks like. So it is a long page with all the sections that student has as a progress of the course, with all the topics that are kind of open subsections or subtopics there. And there's some extra information like how many times student looked at it, what was the last date of looking at it, and as you can see, so this course is pretty long HTML to choose from. Same goes, and each student typically takes several courses simultaneously. So for example, this is one course, that's the spring course, kind of same idea, same structure. So the long HTML with a lot of information, and more specifically, like those dates, even if you you can technically scroll through them and try to understand from, let's say, last week, what was your student interested in, or look through the last 7 days. So you need to technically search for like 7 days and whatnot, and try to kind of navigate this way. And 7 days, 4 days, 3 days, like that, it makes hard to see what exactly student was up to last several days. And more courses, right? So 3 pages or 4 pages for just one student, and if you have 5 students, that just multiplies dramatically. So that was the problem. Now,
And then just to jump in here, Nikita. So essentially, before you're meeting with students, you're going in here and trying to understand, okay, what have they been up to in the last few days? What have they done in the last week? And you've got to go here to this essentially progress report and scan not just for one student and one course, but for multiple students and multiple courses, which makes it quite a pain, which is really good feedback, honestly, and on the mentor experience.
Yeah. So yeah, you need to gather the information right before. Well, I actually do it even through the, when it starts to be a simple task, I have this dashboard running like all the time on my kind of one of the screens, and I click update and I can see the track through the days even. So to be prepared, and or maybe get some extra information of, oh, this topic was more severe for the student or less severe, if you wish. All right, so that's the problem, right? So pretty kind of, simple probably. Well, it looked like at the very beginning very simple. And like the first draft, the basic blocks, obviously each software nowadays more or less has this 3-tier design, where we have a database to store the data, front end to to navigate and work with, so the web page or application that you have on your phones, backend, the thing that actually kind of juice it all together and wire it all together. And also in my case, I need to extract the data from the Coding Nomad system so that I can show it in my view. So this is Coding Nomads. I have to somehow get the data into the backend, save it to the database, and then if front end needs or when it needs to show. All right, so that's like a rough outline. Now, what to do next? I started to sketch out what would be the steps, or what I know about the problem, how to decompose the problem. And one of the the first thing is, the crucial thing for the application is to be able to actually have the data, right? So like if you don't have the data, there's no need or no purpose of building anything else. Like no backend, no front end, nothing to show. There's no application if you don't have data. So data is the huge unknown, and even ability to get the data out of the system, that's a separate unknown in that part. Backend, obviously, is Java Spring. That's the tool that we study and the tool I'm most familiar with. Front end, I decided to go with React and JavaScript, obviously, and the React library, mostly because my wife recently studied it and I got some knowledge about it, not the professional knowledge, but I had some knowledge on it. And you probably can spot the problem in this outline, right? So we have 2 things that I have no idea, and one of them is crucial. So what was the next thing I started to do in the industry? We call them Spike. Spike is typically a work that you have no idea to what it is, or what it is all about, or how to deal with it. Like basically something that's very risky. And typically it's just like time-bound activity for the team member to go explore. In this point, it doesn't matter how messy it is, what tools you use, whatever you use, it just the main goal is to just collect the knowledge. So I started to do this spike for data extraction, since that's the crucial point. And I started with a simple combination of Jupyter Notebook and the Pandas library into that. The reason for that is just this is very easy tools to go through and to do exploratory kind of navigation. And more specifically, I knew that, and I know that the Pandas, if you feed, it can actually scrape a web page if you just give it to Pandas. So the result of the work of the library would be a bunch of tables. Like if on the page there is a table, Pandas would be able to extract that table and present it as a data frame, which is obviously, here you can see there's a lot of tables, like all of them are tables. So I went with that approach and it turned out pretty well, but it wasn't fantastic. And I still needed to understand which data frame, like how to parse it and how to work, but it worked. Like the major thing, it worked. The next thing that I did is I also knew that there is a specific library to just web scraping called Beautiful Soup, and I started to use it. And it went great. So the library itself is great. It built and it's robust. It is very insanely powerful and flexible. So I will highly recommend anyone who wants to get any information from the internet in any kind of programmatic manner. That's the way to go and start. And I started with Python because Python is flexible, and again, it doesn't matter how you explore, all you need just to gain the knowledge. And but Jupyter is kind of, it's a good tool, interesting tool, but it's still like scientific related or scientific tailored tool. So it has a bunch of things that you can execute in any order, but it's not exactly the code that you would kind of run as a script. It's like you have to jump through several things to make it work. So the natural way to go from that point was just extract everything that I learned as just a Python code that was working on my machine. Everything was peachy. And I even got it to populate my database from that code. So back to our unknowns. The data part was more or less figured out. So I went to the second unknown problem, which is front end, which is like, it's not totally unknown, but the little knowledge. So I started again with the new spike, if you wish, for the front end. Same thing, created the new React app, just bare minimum, hard coded the data that I extracted from the data source. So like quite literally just copy pasted into the JavaScript as an object. And then the next task was just ability to show the information on the screen. It's just like see it. And it took, well, several attempts, and it was ugly as hell, but it worked. It worked at the end. So once I had these two things figured out, I thought that, okay, now I have all three components more or less figured out, and now I can propagate and start to start to continue with the journey. In the very beginning, I had this Python script that was going to populate MongoDB database, and I went again. I picked MongoDB because it's again very flexible. It allows you to keep any objects in it without extra restrictions in the very beginning, whether well, but the trade-off with SQL obviously is that it's not easily query, like you can't extract any piece of information from there easily. And I didn't need it. So all I needed just keep specific blobs of data and just extract those blobs. Backend still the same, front end more or less figured out. All right, that's the second draft. So like after all the spikes, all the pieces kind of started to fall into places. And the last piece is to start to, well, just code it, right? So the implementation phase. I created a very simplistic backend from the Spring Boot ecosystem. Again, my script was populating the database, and then I read from the database through Spring Boot. And I made my front end use that exposed CRUD operations. CRUD would be create, read, update, delete of any entities to just wire them together. So basically, I deleted the hard-coded list of things, and I started to pull them from the backend. And it worked again. And that's the point where I realized that, oh, I need to somehow, like, students progressing through the course, so that like I need to run this script either on a regular basis, which means that it should be some kind of logic kind of triggering it all the time on my, or I can expose like a button on my application that will trigger this functionality. But I had a problem. The script is like the Python based, and it's completely like enclosed into the Python ecosystem. And my backend is the Spring Boot application. So they are not easily compatible with each other. Thankfully, I found that there is a similar to the Beautiful Soup library, but for the Java, called Java's JSoup. Obviously, like the name inheritance here. Similar, I would not say that it's like as powerful. Probably Beautiful Soup is way more developed, but Java gives you gave me everything that I needed to for it. So the next was to migrate everything to the JSoup. Then I started to add some like features here and there, and at that point it was still ugly. It was like a lot of code duplication. Nothing is like exposed, and like nothing is cleaned up and everything. So, but I had all the pieces working. The like buttons start to click, and like you can add, remove stuff. And only at that point I kind of continued with actual like cleanup and refactor. After that, I realized that if I have like 5 students and I have 3 courses, that's already like the update functionality takes a long time to do. Like query each page sequentially for each student, parse it, save it to the database, move on to the next one. It was quite like a long waiting time. So I optimized it that for each student, for each course, now it is completely happening in parallel, and we will probably will take time. I'll jump into the code and I'll point out the place where it happens. Yeah, so optimize. Now it's the time to see the application in its glory. Oh, you know what? Not yet. I need to start. Since I had to, not you. I need to start everything. And you see right now, it's still like you run it manually. I didn't go for like full, complete production grade deployment yet, because I did need to. Oh, all right. So one more thing. The database is not running. Just a second. All right, Mongo is running. Oh, there you go. So finally, application. Let me make it bigger. All right, so that's current state. So it was much worse than this one right now. And you see right now, it's completely empty. So I have a progress, which will show all the progress for the students. There's a list of students, list of courses, and that button that I mentioned already to update the whole state. So let's add a student here. And the start and end fields right now is again work in progress. They are not functioning yet. So let's add me. I know my Nikita. So add a student. There you go. I can see myself. Now let's add John to our host today. John. And for the sake of everything, let's add Ryan. And you can tell that Ryan is one of the core nomads because his ID is 2. I wonder who has ID 1. Anyways, so 3 students added, and now all of a sudden we can see the students, but no progress yet because there's no courses added yet. So let's add a couple of courses. I have so our main prog is so number 5. That's Java programming and advanced Java Spring would be oh come on. So this would be 34. And we have also SQL and databases as a part of our course. And color scheme is just for me to see that I am on the specific page. So here I also have the delete button and actually go to course links together. Anyways, so we have students, we have courses, everything is propagated. Like right now, the CRUD is working, so it's preserved in the database. Everything is working fine. Now, once we click this update button, and you see it takes, even for 3 students and 3 courses, it takes some time to process. What's happening right now on the backend? The backend logs into the application. So basically into this tables and pull the data, parses the data, populate the database, and then return the value to the front end. So that's how it looks like. Like that's the main page that I come up with. Again, it's not aligned yet, so it's going to be way more work to be done here. But the color scheme is pretty straightforward. So green means all the topics that are supposed to be watched at this point were finished and watched. So they basically have a date in it. So basically like here, for example, you see this return to course home. Click here to go started, if I'm not mistaken. Those 2 are finished by me and yeah, return to course home. There you go. Both of them are finished. Blue means that there's something unfinished there. So it's mostly done, but something unfinished. Now, yellow means that this topics and courses were visited by me within the last 7 days. Red within the last 3 days. So that's the way how I kind of look at the students. What was the actual target for the students to look at? And obviously, well, and also full progression through the course. The sections that are red or yellow, they are open by default. So they could be collapsed or they could be expanded, but they are open just for the sake of looking into the details. And here we can also click and see what's going on. We can also, from this page, we can go to the profile of a student or a specific, this outline. So if I click here, a new page will open I would need to log in. And there you go, the page exactly with the numbers and the dates and everything in here. Yeah, and so it's for all the courses. This one will bring you back to the student profile. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. So here, we can also just delete students and or courses, and it will be where are you? Something now something is broken. Did I crush it? Might have. Not working. I definitely killed it. Wait a second. Let me check. As I said, work in progress.
Yeah, the beauty of live demos. This is very normal,
Yeah.
Nikita. Thank you for sharing
There
a work in progress with us.
Yeah, the work in progress. Anyways, I need to fix it. Oh, let's see if I'll be able to fix it. Anyways, so you've seen the thing. Well, I can technically easily restore it. All right. So since we are on this topic, as you've seen, so here I run my database as all right. So for a bit more technical corner, so the database that I use is MongoDB.
Nikita, sorry to interrupt you. Do you mind making the text on the screen a little bit bigger if possible?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Sorry, it was like this, but then service. There we go. So
Great.
the my approach to the local development environment, my philosophy is that local development environment for any developer should be completely clean. Like you have to have your tool, for example, in college, and maybe, well, the language that you use, everything else, all the dependencies that you use in the project, it's better to have them running as a containers for several reasons. One is if you are not working on that project, you can easily shut them down and move on to another project and bring them back. So you don't waste CPU and all that. That's the one thing. The second thing is if you have a long running database on the background, it's very easy to start pollute the database with some data that you, once you put it into the system, like several months after that, you would assume that that data or that table does exist in the production or whatever system you're working with. And it might not be there because it was your local development and you didn't check it. So, and then you can technically deploy something that is not working, or you're relying on something that is not there. And the third thing is specifically in the work environment, when you have a new member joining the team, you would need to explain that person how to set up the database. Database always comes with data. So you need to somehow migrate, populate the data. It's always, you need to run migrations. So that's, there's a lot of work and a lot of tedious kind of little configs here and there. With containers, all you need to just provide a person with this file. Well, in this case, it's Docker Compose. There are some other options out there. And the person will just click the button like either here to just run the thing, or a couple of commands in CLI. And the entire, so here in this file, we can have databases, queues, other services you rely on, mocks, what have you, like anything that is packageable. And the entire environment is already ready to run, and it's not polluted. Like even if you create something, let's say you create a table, you did the exploratory thing, you just mess with everything, and then you just kill completely everything and start it from scratch within minutes, and you continue to move to work with move on with the development. So from my perspective, it's superior to on all the positions, including one more thing. So you see here in the file, I have an extra thing, an extra resource. This is not exactly a dependency, so it's not database, but it's a UI that will allow me to look into this database easily through my browser. So it is a tool. So you can not just kind of have the dependency or like the environment for the development, but also tools that will allow you to easier or make your life easy for the other developers, fellow developers. And there you go. So that tool, this Mongo Express, it just right now is sitting on the port 8081. It's just, you can define it anyways. It doesn't matter. And you see, that's my database. That's my two collections, exactly as you saw on the page. And I think I broke something in most likely here. Well, we can just easily delete any information from yeah, this one probably it's okay. Let's see. There you go. Let's add back a student. 69. I'll just populate it so that we can see when I'll start to show the code that they are related. All right, so and I can click the button. It would be much faster for one student, obviously. There you go. I'll have to note that something is not working if you just randomly delete stuff from the page. Anyway, so that's the thing. Now, if we now a little bit of a code internals. So front end. Oh, let me make it bigger also. There we go. Let me close this. So front-end code. I'm not front-end developer, so I can't tell you that something is it completely correct way to put the code together or not. But as far as I've seen in several projects, so the React app starts with the React kind of the main component of the application, and this is the place where we kind of collect the data and have some functioning. And this actually is the menu. It's easy, like, oh, look at this. So progress, students, courses, and update all. Exactly those words were on the page, right? So that's the menu item. And so then everything is separated into several pieces. Services are responsible for pulling the information out of the backend. And that's the place, as I said earlier, the one that I kind of hard-coded data, that was here. I just shoved it in as an object and then built everything else on top of it. The next part, pages, exactly the pages that you've seen, right? So the progress, courses, and students, that's the components that are responsible for that. And then each page uses a little bit, you've seen that repeatable blocks for each student or each course, like this one's, right? So each course is a repeatable thing that's happening, and students are also repeatable. And then we have add at the end. So basically, that's the thing. So here we do the repeatable part, and that's the course card and the add component card. So one-to-one mapping to what you see you've seen on the screen. And the component by themselves, if you just go and explore, that would be also like here, the course card, it has course name, course ID, and there is a button to delete. Well, you've seen all of those in action. So it's simplistic, but well, it turned out to be more or less fairly okay. I used Bootstrap and specific Cyborg. Where is it? I'm not sure I'll be able to find it easily. Let's see. I'm not here. Well, anyways, so this is like the details. You can copy them. Oh, there you go. Yeah, there you go. So I use a specific kind of theme for the Bootstrap library called Cyborg, and that's the theme that gives you this blackish color with all the other palette. And as a developer, I like everything to be on the dark mode, right? So that's the reason I went with the cyborg. Probably I'm a bit of a cyborg at that point. So pretty straightforward mapping one-to-one of everything. And again, don't get me wrong, that's like probably third generation of the application. So it never comes up on the first go. Like first time, it's always going to be completely one total mess, and then you just ship it piece by piece into separate components. Believe me, yesterday that was not the case for this components. And here, even look at this, I still have this example thing that is not well. Anyways, it's again work in progress. So now to the backend. Backend Spring application. We already started to see bits of it. Let me close. So similar idea. So Spring Boot application. I have okay. So we'll yeah. I'll start with that. So it's not supposed to be here. So I use application properties to actually give provide the values. And in here, the main part would be the user and password. I provide them through environment variables, so not to expose, so you can see them. Oh, one more, by the way, one more pro for the using containers is that you technically don't care when you commit something to the GitHub if it is a container that's supposed to be executed only during the development process on your machine, and it's repeatable. It doesn't have any specific information in it or whatnot. You can hard code the credentials for that thing. Like if somebody would wish to break into localhost and try to steal the data, let them do it. It's going to be their localhost. It's not yours, right? It's generic. So totally safe to provide this kind of stuff. Now those properties, well, that's the properties. The application is set or split into several things. Controllers, obviously, based on the similar mapping that you've seen on the front end, but a little kind of more mapping to the database. So like as you remember, in the database, we have two collections going on, courses and students. So backend more related to the database rather than the pages on the web screen, on the web, right? So pretty simplistic CRUD component for courses, get all, get one, update one or create one, and delete one. Nothing special. Students, the same thing. Nothing completely special here. This update endpoint is specifically for that button. When you click update, that goes and updates things.
And one quick question here, Nikita. What we're looking at here is essentially the endpoints are the
yep.
that when something happens on the front end, this is essentially the entry point on the back end of where these actions are executed.
Correct.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes, correct. And I would also, promote probably IntelliJ IDEA once more. You see here a little kind of globe and the drop down. If you use this IDE, you have the opportunity to just click here and generate the client. So it will open you this kind of page, and you see you can execute. Let's say here, get all the students. It will execute the command with your backend running, and you will see the output of everything and everything. Like you will get everything, and you can even open the output and see the information. So technically, it replaces some kind of replacement for the Postman instead of using Postman. That's much faster and easier, and it's built in. All right.
Nice.
Anyway.
That I actually didn't know that that was a thing you could do. Maybe I need to update my IntelliJ.
Yeah. So, well, it's sitting under in here. If you go here, scratches and consoles, you can, in the scratches folder, there is a .http, and you open it, and there you go. You can do posts, you can do gets, you can do whatever you wish, and it tracks and it keeps the history of everything. So you see here, that's the work in progress. First, I didn't have the page. Then something was broken in it because the status of that's the 500 means error happened on the website. 404, everyone familiar with 404, right? It's something not found in the internet. And then at the end, like it goes backwards. And so on the top, 200 means everything is okay, everything works. So that's my work in progress. And as you see, like probably there could be several more examples of similar, I know, well, I probably just deleted them. Anyways, so that thing, it works. I would highly recommend. It's nice and easy. Yeah, so the student controller, that the sole purpose of it is just to supply information to expose some endpoints for front end to pull information from. The main part probably would be, well, obviously, so that's the part that communicates to the front end. Then we have a part that communicates to the database, which is, again, two repositories. They both based on the database, and look at them. Because of Spring Data, it's just beautiful. It's just quite literally 0 lines of code in between those brackets, right? So I didn't create any custom code here at all, and it still works because everything is provided by the Spring Boot or Spring Data. Same goes for the student. It's simplistic. All right. So done with the repositories. Models. We'll come to the services kind of the last. So models are, I mapped them, and that was like, it's probably what, 5th or 5th generation of objects here. So again, same thing that you've seen on the front end as same as in the back in the database. So course has ID and name. Student a bit harder. So it also student has ID and the name. And then I started to put it together. It doesn't work yet, but that's the part that is like the main thing, right? The progress of a specific student with a specific course. And if you look at the progress model inside, that would be the course ID, and then all the sections. You remember that table, each has a section, and inside section we have, again, the ID and the topic. Well, one specific item. If we go back here, that would be, so that would be the course. That would be the section of the course. Oh, come on. You know what? It's much easier to just go from here. Dashboard in its glory. Much easier from here. So yeah, so that would be the section, that would be the topic, and here would be the information for the topic. And if you look at the topic, there we go. That's the, well, the order on the page, the topic name, topic type. That's the it's either video or not video. You kind of seen that, and some other things. And the main part, probably a date. It's when the student look at that specific page. What was the last time? So again, natural mapping of what we've seen on the page to the data layer here. And the last but not least important thing is services. And here, well, again, start with the course. This one is extremely simplistic, the same way, because of the Spring Data. It provides you with a lot of extra functionality that is there, but you didn't write it. So this one would be to get all the courses from the database, get one by ID, create one. So you remember this add button, that's actually this code. and delete. Same logic. Student a bit hard, like with this, because of this progress, a bit more complicated, but nothing too crazy. Same, get all to show on the list, get one by ID, create a student, that's the add button, update, so we'll come to it later, that's the update button, and delete. So basically, again, not that much of what's going on. And because this parsing of this page is actually complicated, and let's take a look at this. This part that was, previously it was one page in one service. I kind of had them together, but then I decided to remember the refactor and cleanup. I decided to extract this one as a separate functionality, but because it's technically not related to the student, like from the functionality perspective. So and here, beautiful J soup macaroni of the code. But because you have to parse page one step at a time, and you see here like specific HTML attributes are used, I kind of have to narrow down and scope it and go to the specific cell of that table to extract specific data out of it. And that's where I get the ID, everything, and here should be the date somewhere. I can't remember where it is. No, that's the looking for it. Oh, there we go, parse date. There is a specific function that just parse the date out of the page. Yeah, so that's that. Now, the last bit, as I said, optimization, right? So let's go back to the student service, and that's the part that most likely is it's advanced. I'm not gonna lie, and here the basic kind of the concept is I just grab all the courses possible in the system. Then I grab all the students that I have in the system. And then for each student in each course, I create a parallel workflows, like the several parallel, they call it threads in Java. Basically the routines that work simultaneously. And though each of them will go to the web page for the specific student, specific outline, grab the value, the pull page, and then parse it, put it as a nice little kind of the what's the student, like the student. Well, it's going to be a student progress. Oh, there you go. It's going to be a student progress object, the one that has everything in it, and then we just save it to the database so that it is preserved.
And you mentioned this was one of the optimization steps. So when you realized it was taking a really long time, you were like, oh, I could do this in a multi-threaded fashion, parallel processing. Nice.
Yep. Correct. It's like the optimization step, and that's the kind of advice for everyone. Optimization step comes the last, because before the optimization, you technically don't care. All you need just to make it work, and then you can only then you will be able to see what is optimizable in that system or what's not. For example, in this case, what happened is here the system, the way you remember, I just recently I had to re-login again. Why? So the system actually keeps track of each your login and creates a specific session for everything. So if I right now will run my script again, and I will show it to you. If I run it, right now it is starting to get the data. If I try to refresh the page, I'll be logged out because this session is already no longer valid because the other process already started to also grab, like pretended to be me from the different perspective. Guess what happened when I started to run them in parallel? They all started to steal the session from each other. So I had to create a specific, and again, a bit more advanced, but at the very end, look at this. Who already studied the what's the multi-threaded section of the course will recognize that synchronized word means that even though I've created a bunch of parallel work, only one can enter this function at a time. And here I have a specific piece of logic that figures out if the session is already working. And if it is, then I'll just reuse the one through the entire, like for all instances of running processes. Before parallel or optimization, it was not a thing. It was not a problem because everything was done sequentially. So I create session on the very beginning and then run through all the processes, and then that was the result. All right, so I have, well, sorry, I'm out of time, but just to finish it, to wrap it up. That was a demo. Key takeaways. For anyone who wants to start and build a project, first of all, just outline the rough design of the system. Don't get too granular, just very, very generic thing, because don't remember, up until the last moment, everything might change. You might find a better solution, a better option, or something will, the result of your spike will prove that it's not doable at all, and you need to kind of backtrack and redo some stuff. So that's the parts thing. Then on this thing, identify the most crucial component, the one that makes your system actually valuable. Like in my case, if I were not able to extract the data out of the website, there is no need of the dashboard. Like if it has nothing, there's no value in it. Once you identify those the crucial parts, then the next part, take and look which parts you definitely know what to do and how to do it, or something that is completely new, or you have no idea how to do it, or something that you didn't try, and mark them as unknowns and risks. And then if you have something crucial and risky, start with that thing and run several spikes. They could be just boxed whatever activity. The sole purpose of it, just gain knowledge. Don't try to make it nice, perfect, beautiful from any perspective. It's just make it work. And then once you figured out everything, then you start to kind of put it all together. You can start to put it all together, but then also kind of one more, have a little constraint, means the reason why I started with Python is in Python, it's so easy, or JavaScript, it's so easy to manipulate the objects. Like if you have an extra field, it's no problem to shove it in or remove it from there. Java, still possible, but it's like you need to update your models and reshuffle the stuff and put the types in and all that. If you in the very beginning started to tie it all together to the database, well, database is the most rigid element of this schema. So you have to you introduce constraint in the very, very, very last moment when everything else is completely figured out. So then you start implementation, and it will exactly end up being kind of hardening your system to an exact solution that you've designed. Done.
Nice. Look at that.
1 minute behind, but
yeah,
I had a rough start.
Yep. That's okay. We can edit that out in post.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely. If somebody has a question, I have time, so I can be here for you guys. But if you need to drop off, you can go. Yeah, for sure. Should I stop sharing?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, first off, thank you, Nikita. That's I know there's a lot to cover there, and for the people watching, I'm sure much of that is confusing and new and Greek. But what I think is really interesting and valuable about it is the way that you walked us through the entire process, from understanding that you had a real world kind of problem in how to understand the progress of all your students, and then creating that custom solution to, to help you be better at your job, which is kind of the idea of software development, is to help you do things better and be better at your job. So it's really interesting, and I really appreciate the way that you worked through it, and put some thought into this presentation. It's super, super interesting, and I will personally be cloning those repositories and exploring it myself. It's very, very useful, and so thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. I'll update, like today. I'll update with the proper README on how to run it. But basically, all you need is just like don't forget to start MongoDB. Everything else you know how to do. But yeah, that one.
Yeah, I know. I learned a lot about this too. Some of this stuff, I think I started coding before a lot of other folks here. I know I've got a couple of years on most folks here, and so a lot of this stuff is new since I learned how to code and do everything. So stuff like Docker and React and all these really intricate web applications. This is all kind of stuff that happened well after I graduated college and well after I started working in the industry. So a lot of this stuff is even still new to me. It's stuff that I look at, and I'm quite frankly, I'm dazzled by some of the stuff that I see coming out of it. I see all this stuff with Docker, and I don't know it well enough to be confident. So yeah, I think this is one of those things where, okay, I might do what Ryan does. I'm going to clone these repos, and I'm going to start trying to set this stuff up on my own, because I've got a guide, which is great. I mean, having that kind of guideline is a good thing, even for me. So, but this is also good for everybody else who's just starting off. I've been in this industry for 30 years, and I'm still learning new stuff all the time. There's always something new, and there's always something confusing, and there's always something that I don't know, but you can always learn. And I'm kind of proof of that. So,
and I would even kind of put it further. It's like the industry is moving very fast and like fast forward, so that there's no way for anyone to know everything.
Right.
All you can do is try to keep up with a certain amount of like technologies that you picked and maintain. That's the reality.
Jason was just asking if you had any new features that you intended to add in a future update.
Oh yeah, so the main feature that I want to add is, like, right now you've seen that the outline of the student with all this, like the dots and stuff. I want to actually kind of click on the student and see that still like table-ish format, but much condensed with the closed, like the same color scheme, but with the topics that I can see clearly. Right now it's just a dot, and you can, like, to be able to see the specific topic that students studied, you have to kind of dig a little bit through. But then, like, I will expand that thing. And oh yeah, and the part that I already started to put is to put a start date and the end date and the progress bar, so that I can see and then kind of correlate them together. It's like the progress on the course and the progress bar for the entire, like, just the time, and then kind of see what's going on in between. So those, yeah.
I've got a couple ideas myself that, when I clone this thing and I start looking at it, you may see a PR or two coming from me, because there's a couple of things that I would love to see. So.
Definitely, kind of everyone welcome. And for students, for sure, like, well, anyone who wish, I will update the README, and Docker is not a big problem. And if you don't even have it, or like too scared to try, you can just go and take any Mongo that is running somewhere. You can even install it locally, like just provide the connection string, and that's it. So I'll put it all together. It's not a hard requirement, but just like, for me, it's the easiest way to go.
Awesome.
Yeah, Jason mentions it'll be interesting to see how long students spend on each section, which would be, and then once you start, and this is the neat thing, is that you can start adding new features and optimizing, and go, like, once you've got the base in there, then we can start doing some analytics on the data and stuff. So,
well, first of all, I kind of, when I was doing my spikes, I realized that Moodle, the system that coding nomads use for a website, technically has an API. It's not enabled, and I don't think that it would be a very easy thing to enable, but we can probably kind of one thing to, instead of parsing information, could grab through the API, and maybe it even will have or provide a bit more data, because right now you can kind of track the student spending time on the topic. The problem is what I have is one date. It's like if I were able to catch it on the beginning, and then I have last read, and that one, like the last updated, would be increasing with the time. So I will see the full time box. But the current way, I just parse it and it just kind of one date. I have no idea. Like I can probably track from the very beginning of the course, but trickier. But yeah, you're right. Like there's a lot of things to be added or could be added.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you again, Nikita, and thank you everybody for joining. This was definitely really interesting. It's probably the most hands-on, applicable project that we've seen demonstrated in these tech talks. They're always so interesting, and what's also really neat about the majority of the project that you demonstrated, minus the React stuff, that being, behind the scenes, we do have a React course in development. But the Java, Spring, and a lot of the stuff that goes into the project that you just demonstrated is exactly what we teach in our program. So for anybody that's watching this, that's super interested in how this all worked, but it's completely Greek. The good news is that at Coding Nomads, we've got a path that'll walk you all the way through all of this stuff from beginning to end. And in a short or in just a little bit of time, we'll have the React component too for everybody available. So very applicable. Thank you, Nikita.
Yeah. Well done. Yeah. Even. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
What I'm saying is, students technically would be able. Any student can pick it up, run it on your machine, and you will not be able to access like all the students, others, but you can add yourself easily, and you have access, I think, to it. Yeah, you should be able to have to see that. So you can see yourself easily.
Nice.
Yep.
All the courses, one student. You'll have a dashboard.
Yeah. One of the other things too is that not only the Java and the Spring and the database stuff, but even the Spike stuff that was there. All the Python and the beautiful soup stuff. That's all part of the course as well. So just the exploration part that you did was that's all something that we teach as well. So as a Python and a Java mentor, I get the best of both worlds here. So
nice.
Yeah. Well, I didn't commit that part. I probably can. It's ugly.
Yeah, that's okay.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, that's nature. Ugly. It's the nature of Jupyter notebooks. I think they get to their notebooks. I mean, that's meant to be stuff that you look through. So
that's true. Yeah, that's also true. Correct.
Okay. Well, thank you again, Nikita. Thanks everybody who stuck around for these last little bits of questions. Thanks for putting up with some of the horrors of live coding at the beginning. We know that it's off to a rough start, but that is the nature of real coding and real things. We don't pre-record these things. We do these things live, which is we have these issues sometimes. That's the way it goes, but it's real. So I'd like to thank Ryan and Jared for being here. Again, Nikita, everybody else who stuck around. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We have another presentation coming up. You'll be seeing email about that starting next week as well. So until then, I want to wish everybody a good week. Ryan, do you have any closing statements or anything?
I'm good to go. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please let us know by liking and subscribing. If there's another topic that you'd like to learn more about, leave us a comment. We would love to hear from you. And if you want to become a coding pro, visit our website at codingnomads.co. See you next time.